You said the kids missing. I remember my daughter saying she may have been that's this high. Um, and my husband coming home and maybe a couple of months after being home, having to share with her that he had to leave back out again. And she was just over it.
It truly it can tear you apart or it can bring you together. It just depends on how it all falls out.
I am a new mom. I didn't expect being a new mom that my spouse was not going to be there. Military is not for the faint of heart,
Mhm.
especially when your spouse is going to war and the things that they see and experience, the friendships that are lost,
Mhm.
um, that never come back.
Watching that turmoil day in and day out, it requires faith.
A rocket, a bomb, or whatever hit his camp, um, and just destroyed people.
Yeah.
It slammed him against the iron bed. They were asleep. Slammed him against the iron bed, and just rocked their whole world. Um, so today, y'all, I wanted to chat if we could about military families. We all are connected to military in some way. I think you guys had you've been in the military, and then I'm
Mhm.
a military spouse. Um, and first of all, I'm Andrea Wormley. Here at her presence, we have Kelly Moore, and then we also have Melissa Benson. And so we're going to talk about family. Okay, military family. Okay, so when my kids were younger, so my husband was rapid deployment,
Mm.
always gone. Before he even got back from a deployment, he already knew that he was going to be going somewhere else. And he typically, so his MOS was medic and then MI,
Mhm.
military intelligence. And so he typically was supporting whatever. So he may not have been at the whole 18 months, but he may have been gone 12 months.
Yeah.
Um, or 9 months, but super long time. And so when the kids were young, I really did feel like a single mother
Mm.
because he was gone a lot. But one of the things that I know personally I struggled with was communication and celebrating with as a family. In my mind, I wanted him to be there also. And a lot of times we would wait
Mhm.
for him to come home to do stuff.
Mm.
So we would wait. If we were gonna go to Disney World, we have to wait until he comes home, and then we would go. And so a lot of my life at that time was waiting until God said, "Why are you waiting? You can celebrate now, right? You can do
Mm.
things now." And so we began to do things now. Then, at the time when it would happen, we would schedule now, not necessarily when he came. So one of the things that we would do would when we would go celebrate something and Randy wasn't with us, we had this jar and we would write down the thing that we did and we put it in the jar.
Mm.
And so we would have all these things in the jar. And so when he would come home, he would pull the thing out and I would let the kids explain or tell him what we did, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that was just really nice to for him to experience the experience through them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then if we did it again, we would do it again. But God had to deal with me about he had to deal with me about waiting. Um, so the question is, um, if you are a military family, how do you um, communicate with that loved one that's gone? How did you guys do that in your families? And how do you? live life in the present and not, well, we'll be glad when this happened kind of life. What's your thoughts on that?
So for me, I was the active duty member. And so my husband stayed home with the kids. And many times whether it was TDY, whether it's just traveling for the military in general, of course, there was no Facebook, there was no all the various social media platforms at that time. So it was a phone. We did a lot of things by phone, uh, leaving notes, communicating in written form constantly to make sure that I was a part of everything the kids were involved in. And
Mhm,
so they would know. And one thing that we would do that was I was intentional about was if it was, I'll take for instance, there was a celebration for my son who made the beta club or something. We took a picture so that that picture was always posted. Although mom travels for her job, she is constantly in the things that matter. She may
mm,
not be in the day to day, but she's constantly in those things that were big or important for you. We have the, as the kids say now, the receipts. I was there. I was a part of that. So you have to be intentional. It takes intentionality when you have someone that is in the military, for sure.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. But mine's a little different. Like you, I was in the military as well. Um, Started my civilian job immediately coming out of the military. And then a year after I got out of the military, we had a family. So our daughter was probably 6 months old before he got orders to go to ANOC.
mhm,
Then he came back. He was home for a short amount of time, then went to BNOC. So the first couple years of our daughter's life, he was really gone.
mhm,
And so, like you said, we didn't have cell phones. No,
Yeah.
cell phones just came
Uh,
to be. We had pagers.
I remember the days of the
ages.
We had, we had, of course, the telephone, long distance charges,
Yes.
them
Yes.
long distance,
Oh,
them bills,
they
them
added
monthly
up.
bills.
Yes, they did.
So that was really our way of communicating. From her being such a small child, she'd hear her daddy on the phone. And then, of course, when he would come home off on leave. But it was a little difficult because I'm also still transitioning. I'm still a military minded person.
Mhm.
And so, I'm used to having certain privileges, and now kind of it's the back seat.
Right.
And now I'm learning different terminologies
Mm.
and TRICARE and how
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
works and getting enrolled and power of attorney. So it was a little uncomfortable at times,
Mm.
transitioning your mind differently. And now, being that spouse and now being that mother. So
Mm.
it was a transition for me.
How does the stress of military life affect partnership, spouses, um, or any relationship? And then the relationship as you as a mother to the kids. How has that affected you, or how did it affect you?
Mm. I would say it takes being in the military, whether you're the active duty person or you're not, it takes a family commitment. Everybody is serving in my mindset. Everybody is serving because each family member now takes on the dynamics of the family shift and change, and they're constantly fluid because today I have to step in and be this. Tomorrow I have to be this because that other partner is not there for whatever reason due to military service. So I think it's about everybody accepting the change and being fluid throughout the whole, whether it be term of service or the PCS or the TDY or the deployment. It takes everybody putting their hands and I relied a lot on my family, my sister. I needed someone that's gonna be there for my kids, that would give them that motherly, care. So
Mhm.
my sister came in and she, served as so-called nanny to help out with the kids. So it takes, when you say a village, it takes a village. You can't do it by yourself because there are so many stressors that you're going through. There's so many challenges, but then there are so many wonderful things that happen as well. So I just say it takes a village because there are so many moving pieces.
You took my word. It's a village. And I was also blessed that my parents lived, very blessed that they lived in the same city that I was in with our daughter. And they got on board as well,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know. And so if it wasn't for my parents, there were some, some days that you're trying to keep everything together, even for your child who's
Mhm.
missing their parent.
Mhm.
And you're missing your husband.
Right.
You, you know, um, mine deployed a lot, during wartime. And so, and he's not able to communicate what's going on, but something is going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And not being able to understand his concerns because it's
Mm.
top secret. Um, and then your daughter wants to see daddy. And why isn't daddy here? And trying to explain to her, why daddy's not here, but daddy still loves you. And if he could be here, he'd be here for you. And then in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, I want him here too.
Yeah.
So, but I was blessed to have not only my village with my parents, but also his side of the family too. And they took a lot of those anxiety days that could kind of can kind of make you feel, what are we doing here?
Right.
Mhm.
Is this
Mhm.
even worth it anymore?
Yeah.
You know, but he's fighting for this country.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You said the kids missing. I remember my daughter saying she may have been this high. Um and my husband coming home and maybe a couple of months after being home having to share with her that he had to leave back out again, and she was just over it. And she was like, "I don't want you to leave. It's mommy's time. You can leave, mom. He can stay here, and
Mhm.
just dealing with the heartbreak." Um I would have to say that, okay, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say in a minute. You said something also about it takes a village. It takes when you're in a relationship, when you're married, it takes both, right? Because the person that's still there is holding down the fort.
Right.
And so, me personally, because I know how that feels, every time I meet a couple that is married and they've been in the military, married, and they're still together, I
Mhm.
say to the spouse, I say to the soldier or the veteran, "Thank you for your service."
Yeah.
And it really does mean a lot to me. And
Mhm.
it's not like just, because I feel like some people just say it just, "Thank you for your service." But thank you for your service. But then I look at the spouse and I said, "Now," and
Mhm.
I'm looking you in your eye, "Thank you for your service.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because of you, honestly, the family is probably still together
Right.
because of you
Putting
holding
it
down the
together.
fort,
Mhm.
and you being understanding and you. So thank you for your service." Um, and then I feel like because um, Kelly, you talked about the parent. I think both of you said
Mhm.
just the village or whatever. For me, because we were my husband was rapid deployment, and then because of his MOS, he was constantly in 3 years, we would always move. 2 to 3 years, we're somewhere else. Um, I was always away from my parents or always away from that resource, right? And that can make you lonely, and that is poverty.
Mhm.
Poverty meaning being without a resource, not without necessarily finances, but without resources. And so we
Mhm.
were always, in every 2 to 3 years, we were always put into a poverty
Mhm.
um, place.
Right.
And so now I have to relearn, go out and find the grocery store, go out and find the church, go out and find new friends, go
Mhm.
out and find a job,
Yeah. Yeah.
go out and find the best place for my kids to go to school and all of that. So when you talk about community, for those of us that was constantly moving, if you have to be intentional about reaching out, because if not, you will be in a depressed state.
Mhm.
And I know how that feels,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
be like lonely or wanting to being so far from my family where I can't just fly there. And if I was to drive there, it would take 3 days or
Mhm.
2 days to
Yeah.
drive or whatever. So you have to be intentional about doing it. And I know that for me, I was really involved. I became very involved in the community, very involved in, once I did find a church, just in what was happening at the church and just making sure that my kids were getting the best education possible was really my life.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
until he came home for 2 or 3 months and then had to leave out again. So, I would say resources is a big thing. You have to be
Yeah.
able to do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And from the service member standpoint, you have pressures that you are dealing with in the sense of you are going to a new duty station. And mind you, I didn't mind the 2 to 3 years moving. I always thought it was new adventure, going to learn something new, going to go to a new assignment. I joined the military because I did want to see the world. So this is the opportunity for me to go to a new place, new location. But then there's the backside of the family side because I've got this pressure where I've got to go in here every day. I've got to perform. I've got to put that uniform on. Back in those days, we were still shining boots and uniforms was pressed and all these. I had this. So you begin to compartmentalize your life. I had the soldier side of things that I had to perform and things that I had to do, but then I have to be wife, and then I'm mother, and then I'm daughter, where I am nowhere near my hometown or nowhere near the people that I grew up with. Whereas I have relatives who've been in the same hometown, been with their families for years, having dinner on the first Sunday with everybody. My kids will never know what that's like until now once that life is over. So it is a transition for everyone. It's not just everyone in the family feels something because I'm under the pressure of performing. My spouse is under the pressure of performing at their job, but also now we've got this whole military dynamic. It truly it can tear you apart or it can bring you together. It just depends on how it all falls out. And then you got the children. You talked about how you had to step out and go to the various churches and things like that. But the kids, we were in one location for I think 4 to 5 years, and my kids really like, this is where I'm
Right.
from. This is
Right.
where I'm from. I'm
Right.
now from this state. And I'm like, "No, you're really not." But no, but it was the longevity of being in one space for 4 to 5 years that they now have adopted this as my homestead.
Mm.
I am from North Carolina. And I'm like, "No, you're not." But that's it's the adapting to the challenges and the changes and the flow of the military where it impacts everybody. And there's a lot of positive sides, but
Mhm.
there are also some challenges that go along with
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. Good stuff. The challenges. You know, I am a new mom. I didn't expect being a new mom that my spouse was not going to be there
Mhm.
Mhm.
with me from start to, he finally got back in the house when Michaela was a little over a year.
Mhm.
And so having to do everything on my own, I wasn't prepared for it
Yeah.
because I knew I was going to have my partner. And so that was scary for me.
Mm.
And then trying to learn what I'm supposed to be doing as now the family member,
Yeah.
and then making sure that I have the household together and then prepared for when he comes back home.
Yeah.
It was just new surrounding. And like you said, when you move, now you have to meet new friends, school, your church, and then you're only there for a short amount of time and now you're uprooted again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that
the thing is
wasn't my finest, moment of parenting by myself, but we got through it through the grace of God. We got through it and we had great support.
and I think So as a service member, you sign up for that. You sign up knowing that you're going to relocate. You sign up knowing that your job is going to change every 2 to 3 years. You sign up knowing this, but and we used to sing a song, the Army didn't issue you a family.
If they did, you would have got it when you went to basic training.
Right. So now that you have this family, what do you do with this? How do you navigate all of this? Because they've taught you how to be a soldier, an officer. You learned that and you got that down. But now, how do you bring everybody else into this
Circle.
picture and you make it
Look seamless.
beautiful and seamless, right?
Yeah.
How do you make that happen? How do you do it? How do you push through it? And I would tell you for me, there was challenges where the spouse that I entered the military with, we're not together. My husband and I now, we married when I was on the end of my military career. And he said to me, having not been affiliated with the military, like, how did you do this for 20 something years?
Yeah.
How are you separated from
Yeah.
us like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you make this work?
Yeah.
So it's different.
It's different.
It's
How do
different.
you do it? And I think it's case by case, it's family by family. I think you'll learn a lot about yourself. Some
Yeah.
people are divorced because they learned a lot about
Yes,
themselves.
absolutely.
And some people stayed together because they learned a lot about themselves. And
Yeah.
we talked about the spouse and how the spouse is affected by the moves. We talked about the soldier and how the soldier is affected by the move. We kind of hit on the kids, and I want to go back to the kids and how they're affected,
Yeah.
even when become adults, and how that long time of just moving and um, forming friendships, and then having to break friendships or move away from friends, and um, being in places where the people didn't necessarily look like us,
Mhm.
and how that affects the child, and then even affects how they deal in relationships when they get older. And I have noticed that. So one of my oldest child was there when my husband was deploying all the time and we were always moving. My youngest child, by the time my husband retired, he was at a developmental age where dad was there all the time.
Mhm.
And so both of them they deal with relationships differently
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
friendships.
Mhm.
Uh, there's the one child that was there doing all the moving and everything. They're more harmony and like, okay, I just, they're about, they don't mind saying I'm sorry so that we can heal this relationship so that we can have harmony. Um, and I know that's because she's just trying to make sure she has connection and
Mhm.
wants to feel accepted, and you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Whereas my other child, it's easy for him to go out and say hey to everyone, and he tells people how he feels, and he knows it,
Mhm.
because he knows that someone's always going to be there. I can see the difference in the way that they deal with relationships, and um I can also say that because we stayed together, my husband did over 29 years in the military, and we've been married for most of that time. And as a family, because we were able to stay together, we have a very close knit family. Because if we
Mhm.
didn't, we only had ourselves to depend on,
Right, right.
So I just wanted to point out the kids, everybody, like you said, everybody has they have to deal with the transition, and
Mhm.
cope with the transition, and then even how it affects kids. And I do like the fact that most post or base, they have all these nifty things now,
Mhm.
and programs that are supposed to help, sometimes, the soldier in the family, well, the soldier. doesn't want to participate in that.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if they don't want the stigma or whatever, but and that's something to even talk about also. But before I move on, is there any comments on that?
There
On
are
just
so many there's so many parts to this, right? And this can go on to multiple podcasts, right?
sure.
Because we have the military children, we have um, the military person or active duty service member like myself who joined. I joined as a child. I was
Mhm,
17.
Wow.
So, and got married right out the gate, like at 19.
mhm,
So, because it causes you to matriculate a little bit faster because you
It's
have a
true.
lot of responsibility. So
mhm,
there's an aspect to it.
mhm,
There is the aspect of the woman in the military. That's a whole nother
mhm,
aspect. The aspect of the relocation. Oh,
mhm.
there are so many facets to this conversation and where it can go. But I love what you just mentioned. There are resources and things available that has evolved over
You hear
time.
me?
Because when initially you didn't have those resources, and I think that's the beauty of the military because as much as we're talking about the challenges, my God, the military afforded me multiple
This
opportunities,
is
and I
true.
am who I am today because of some of those
That's true.
things that were afforded to me as of being in the military. So
Mm.
there are so many beautiful aspects, but with every beautiful thing there's also those drawbacks and those things that you have to consider. There was no true back in when I joined in the 90s, there was no all these resources for families and connecting families and staying, being a part of the community. Your community was the military
Mhm.
community.
Yeah.
So they've done a lot, is evolved over time. So understanding that, also understanding the challenges for those who were not afforded all of those wonderful resources that are currently available.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, my marriage did not last. We ended up getting divorced. My daughter was 7. Um, that was another thing that I never thought would happen. Military is not for the faint of heart,
Mhm.
especially when your spouse is going to war
Mhm.
and the things that they see and
Mhm.
experience, the friendships that are lost,
Mhm.
um, that never come back.
Mhm.
And then they're coming back home feeling guilty,
And different.
depressed. You can't talk about it. Um, Mental health is mental health. And during those times, like you in the 90s, you know, being seen as weak can
Mhm.
get you out of the military
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, just trying
Mm-mm.
to help that loved one. The resources, there are so many more resources today
Yep. Yep.
than when I got out in the late 90s. That I really wish that we could had partaked in because it could have been a different
Mhm.
situation
Really
for
could.
us.
Yep.
But because of that, our goal was um, we were still going to parent
Mhm.
our daughter.
Right.
And the focus was not going to be on us, it was on her. And one of the things that my spouse had said is that he wanted to be a great dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, despite what we are going through, you're going to be a great dad. And so, even to this day, he's one of my best friends. We still talk. I had to still call him for advice on certain things, and vice versa. Our families are still close, and I'm glad because the nuclear family was no longer there. But I wanted Michaela to still understand the importance of a marriage,
Yes.
the importance of a partnership, and how to still work it out when you're just still not together. And I'm blessed. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that our friendship withstood all of that, what we had gone through.
Yeah.
It's been worth it in the end.
And thanks for mentioning that. I think that's a whole nother podcast in itself is co-parenting
Mhm.
and in the beauty of
Yes.
co-parenting.
Yes.
And and it's more people that have a beautiful co-parenting relationship than you think.
Right.
Yes.
And it's really nice to I feel like we should have an episode on that to just kinda chat about that so people will know that it's obtainable,
Mhm.
and this is what it could look like.
Good look.
Yes.
Um, and then something else is that years ago, yeah, we didn't have all these resources, but we have the resource now. People now in the military have the resource now because we had a voice.
Right.
And that's what having a voice does.
Mhm.
Speak up, say a thing. There are grants and there are all these people who are doing things because there was a need and now it's been addressed. And so I think it's very important for people to understand to if you see that there's a problem, to make sure that you speak that problem and not just, um so let's talk about the new relationship that happens after retirement. Like, after well, make you laugh. And this is either after retirement or even after they've been gone for the spouse, whoever, you as a soldier or your soldier has been gone for a while and then came back to a household, and how your identity kind of changes when you come into back into a household. And so what I mean, so it's either whether it be retirement or there's been gone and coming back into the household. So my husband is gone a lot. I feel like that changed me. Um if I was not married to a soldier, I'm not sure if I would be as intentional about making sure things were done at a certain time and completed and making sure that the kids are doing what they're supposed to do. I don't know. I don't know if I would be as vocal as I am now, because what life with my soldier has taught me is if you're going to get something done, you have to say something. You got to speak out, or people are not going to see you, and all those kind of things, right? So when my husband retired in 2016, um, and he was home, there was a whole nother kind of relationship that had to happen. You know, I was the one that had set the rules. The kids had grew up under mama's rules. The kids that grew up and the whole household runs under my rules, and the thing. And so when my husband came home, he had to figure out where he fit, in that. What's your thoughts on that? Anybody?
Um, I wanna go back just a little bit because I wanted to really to g talk real quick about, the children real
Mm,
quickly, about the various, and just to speak to some of the positive things with children in the military or in military families, how they are able to adapt to change so quickly, and the resilience that is in them, and their ability to connect to people easily. Having that, it is a part. It's what's in them, but it's what they've had to evolve to. So I love looking at the kids and seeing that in them, like, oh, that's not a big deal. They know how to overcome things very quickly, and they're ready for. They seem to have matriculated through things faster than most. So, but I think that is a piece of the military family that everyone has to do as well. So when you say the transition of now that spouse is back in the home, so let's go there, it's a change. I can remember from whether it be not retirement in particular, but just TDYs coming back into the home. Yes, we decided this is how things were gonna go while we were gone, but coming back into the home, that relationship is now shifting. It's changing. And it has to ever evolve, right? Okay, y'all got this system, but now, and I think it's different per the parent. You were, dad is coming back home. For me, it's mama's back home.
Mm.
And it's different because in our family at that time, I became more of the disciplinarian,
Mm.
where my husband was more laid back. So it's like, okay, mama's back home. Uh-oh. So it's just, I think everybody's house
Different.
is just, it's different. It's
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
And but that's what makes everything beautiful, because we have our individual ways that things happen. And that's a part of that transitioning in military life. So, and you ease back until you can't just, I want it this way, that way. You gradually ease back into it. Okay, what y'all been doing? Tell me about this. What is this? What's going on here? You ease back into it. And I think that makes it for an easier transition.
Yeah. So a step before Eddie retired, he would come home, and I would from war deployments, and I would make sure that, I really wanted to just hand him off the daughter and
Right.
all the
Right.
responsibilities, but that wouldn't have been that would not have been fair because he needs his adjustment,
Yeah.
So I would still run the household as the norm. After about a week, two, then okay, here you go. But he retired also in 2016, um, and he came back to San Antonio and he stayed with us for a year.
Mhm.
And he wanted to be close to Michaela.
Mhm.
And I said, of course,
Mhm.
and that was great. Um, Michaela was 16, 17. And that was the time where I could actually push her off on her father and I could actually breathe a little bit
Mhm.
because I know she was going to be in good hands, but it was his time and he wanted that time to just bond. He knew that the time was fast approaching, that she was going to be graduating from high school, but he just wanted that time with her. And it was great to see them together, but it was also great for me to go ahead and go to the mall and get my hair done and do all the things that I didn't have to worry about being a parent. Where is my child? But to have him home, and them to have their time together, it was really good.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
The it takes time to transition back in, and and I agree with that. I with the kids, they were used to coming to me, "Mom, can I?" and "Mom, this," and "Mom, can you help me with this?" and "Mom," and I found myself saying, "You just passed a parent to
That right
come
there.
in here.
That right
Your
there.
daddy was in the same room with you. You can ask him,"
Yeah.
you know? And then that transitioning into them starting to ask him, and then he's like, "Ask your mama."
Mhm.
Or he's like, walking in with the kids, "Hey, boo, what you think about what? You can make the decision," just that transition, because so used to these are the rules that you did, and and I trust that you did the rule like him. I know that he trusted. I knew he trusted that then, right? That, I was holding the fort down,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So, didn't want to mess up what I knew he didn't wanna mess up what was already established. "Well, no, I need you to get in here now. They can ask you these questions. You can do it. Don't forget to ask your dad, and you make the decision, please, I'm gonna step away. I need a sabbatical." You know? Um, but the beautiful thing, as you said, is, it teaches you it taught our kids how to problem solve. I'm a different person. I think I'm a better person.
Mhm.
Um, you know, being vocal and being intentional, being organized, and being ready for whatever
Right.
Those hard
have
decisions.
you learn. Life taught you how to be that way, right?
Mhm.
And so that is a good thing. That's a good thing. And I like the fact that these are the issues. These are real feelings that we've had, and we're speaking it. But I also like how Melissa is saying, but I want to make sure that people understand that the military is a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the things that the military does for the military family is a beautiful thing, and it is. I do know that also people need to hear that, because sometimes all you feel is a negative thing. Like,
Right.
this was hard, and and I didn't sign up for this. I didn't
Mhm.
sign up to be with a child while you were gone. I didn't sign up. I didn't think about that.
Right.
My husband, I am the second wife. He was married also in the military, and they got a divorce, and then um and I'm the second wife, but I came into it knowing he was in the military. I don't
Mhm.
think I understood the type of commitment that was needed.
Right.
But amen. No matter what you're in, though, you never
Yeah,
know
yeah.
the
Right.
commitment that's
Right.
just what you need to know is
Yeah.
commitment, though. Just know commitment and
Yep.
just move forward,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it'll teach you commitment. All right. Any other comments on that?
Well, I guess I'm not gonna say the last, but, um, understanding the importance of, faith and being in the military.
Hmm.
Through the separations, the TDYs, the deployments, without having, and you mentioned finding a church and being a part, um, without having it will give you a faith walk if you don't have one. Let me say
That
that.
right there.
Because the things that you have to go through, had it not been for my faith in God,
Period.
and through those challenging moments, uh, through the triumphs, through all of those things, not having God in my life and on my side, I would not have made it. Uh, my children, my ex-husband, my current husband, those challenges, the ups and downs of life, because life brings about its own ups and downs, right? Its own storms and things, but it's magnified when you are committed to service for your country. It's
Hmm.
magnified. And without having God's presence and his favor, and knowing that every challenge that I'm going through, you are a provider and you have given provision. So if I am here and you allow me to be here, everything I'm going through, you're going to take me through this thing.
Period.
Right.
That you cannot do it without having that source of connection, that source of uh, whether it be mental healing, whether it be physical healing. Having been a nurse in OIF and uh, Iran, Iraq, seeing families being torn apart as service members come home with no arms and no legs, and uh, watching that turmoil day in and day out, it requires faith.
It does.
And
Hmm.
knowing that he will see you through it, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. One of the last deployments my husband had, there was a bomb or whatever hit his camp, um, and just destroyed people.
Yeah.
It slammed him against the iron bed. They were asleep. Slammed him against the iron bed, and just rocked their whole world. And he came out. He was saying there are people split apart and all this kind of stuff, and just and then he came home different.
Yeah.
That's when he came home different,
Mm.
and he was diagnosed with a TBI.
Mhm.
And just when you say having faith in God in a situation like that, like, and I'm always the one that says, what does it look like? What does that look like? For me, what that looked like was pushing through and knowing that he was going to be healed.
Yes.
Pushing through and knowing that there's a life after this right here.
Mhm.
Pushing through and knowing that, okay, we have a new relationship, and it does not have to be one that is a negative. This is a positive thing.
Mhm.
And how is it positive? And looking for the positive thing. These are things that we go through, whether you be in military or anything,
Right.
outside of military,
Right.
doing whatever, life will throw you some curve balls.
They say life be lifing.
It be life, right? And faith and having faith in God, knowing that He is the great chess player.
Yes.
You win. That's how, like, if you just know you win, you win. So this thing happened. So how are we winning? I know I'm going to win. We are victorious. And so, yes. And so that's what faith has you keep your head up. Faith has you looking for the education in the thing.
Yes.
Faith has you looking for the goal. Even though you may be feeling like you walking in dung, it has you look like, I'm gonna be out of this in a minute. Where, which way do I turn here? It has you looking for the light at the end of the tunnel and knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That is what having faith in God is. And so when as we were talking about military families and the different things and hard things that could happen, and even the beautiful things that are happening, if you've been in it for a long time, if you just look back at all the ups and downs and where you are right now, what a beautiful thing. Like, if you could just not focus on the bad thing and focus on all the diamonds that are around you that have popped up. How beautiful is that, right? How beautiful that is that. Yeah. Any other comments on today?
I got one more, just one more, and I'll stop. But I can recall when you talk about the life's ups and downs, I remember a Marine, and he had lost both arms in service. And people always ask me, how do you go through life, smiling and, seems like you always have a positive attitude. It goes back to this moment. He's standing in front of an ATM and he's putting his things that we take for granted. He's got his ATM card. He's putting it with his prosthesis. We've got tons of people standing around him. We all want to help him, but we know we can't help him. He's got to do it himself. We're watching him with his prosthetic arm, put the card in, put his pen in slowly, but he gets his money. And my question to him as I'm caring for him, how do you feel? He said, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I signed up because I wanted to fight for my country. And if God allowed this to happen, there's got to be a bigger plan.
Period. That part.
I'm done. Because if he can go through that and still get up every day knowing that God has a plan, surely he has a plan for me. Surely. No matter what I go through, he's got a plan. And that's how I see life. No matter what I go through, he has a plan. And it's for my good, no matter what it is.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Thank
Great
you.
way to end.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So beautiful. Wow. Okay. So, if any one of our listeners, make sure that you make sure you subscribe, make sure you share if you are enjoying this podcast, HERpresence. And then, if you have an experience that, you want to share, write in so that we can read that. And we may share that. So you want to write in, and we may read your message and then kind of chat about that in one of our episodes. And so I also want you to tune in to our next episode. So I'm going to ask a question. Have you ever just drove home and just sat in the car for like 30 minutes? You're at the house.
Guilty.
Or have you looked out the window and ever wondered Like, why? I just did this the other day, y'all. I'm looking out the window and my husband just still sitting in the car. Like, he been sitting here. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna be funny. Everybody, I can see them, everybody on my map, right? So I know that he's home, and he's been home for like 20 minutes. And I look out the window, he's sitting there, and all I see is this. You know? They're just going, I don't know if he's on the phone, I don't know if he's listening to music, I don't know, but have you ever done that? We're gonna talk about those little quirky things that we do, so you want to tune in so you can laugh.
Right.
So hopefully we'll see you on next time. Make sure that you subscribe again, make sure you like, make sure you share. We really appreciate that.